What is up, my friends? Welcome back. And now we are into content synthesis, which is arguably the most important part of standing out as a creator. Because if you aren't having and developing ideas, that's the thing. A lot of creators, they have good ideas and they post those good ideas based off of what they consume, but they don't do anything after that, right? And most of the time, they're getting their ideas from the platform that they're posting on. And so they are, in a sense, making themselves a commodity by doing so and not going any further than that. It's like they'll read something on Twitter and then write the same tweet on Twitter and just get lumped in with the crowd that is writing those tweets. So this entire module is for developing and creating unique ideas. Then you can come back to Twitter or whatever platform you're using to create these unique perspectives and these unique ideas that aren't really being talked about on the platform. And this is how you kind of gain a tier on top of the creators, and they start copying you, which we'll talk about later. But that's a very good thing because it's just leverage, even though people aren't really seeing it that way. So the first thing I want to mention is that you're writing things down in the queue, right? So you're consuming information from everything that we talked about earlier and what we'll talk about here. But when you're listening to an audiobook or an idea pops into your head or a thought pops into your head or really anything pops into your head, because this is your life is content. And so you're writing down everything. You can see I have some tweets copied in here. I have some book notes that I'm taking. I have notes on a video that I'm watching from actualize.org about duality. I had a thought here that I didn't finish. And then I have some thoughts here as well. And this is really, we've talked about this already, where you're writing things down here and you can organize them accordingly. If when you come back through to actually organize these as a part of your process or just whenever you need an idea, you can filter them accordingly and really structure this however you want to. And I want to iterate and will reiterate that I'm not going to give you a set path to do this. Don't expect a set path from me, because that's not what this is about. I'm not going to teach you how to be unique and then give you a set path that will make you not unique. This is up to you to figure out. It's going to cause a lot of struggle and confusion in you, and that is extremely good. It is very good for that, because if you ever want to, let's say you create your own process out of this and you want to go and sell it, that's your process. If I give you my exact process, which I don't even have one, I just do this randomly, right? If I gave you an exact process and didn't teach you how to create your own or have you struggle and fail and uncover these roadblocks, you wouldn't be able to do anything with it aside from get some results. But if you want to take this and run with it and create your own process and sell it in the future, be my guest, because it's going to be completely different from mine if you actually do what I'm saying here and struggle and be confused and become aware of those problems and write about those problems and create content around them, create the processes and everything that we're going to talk about later, and then eventually create a product. So, okay, finally into all of this, right? So the queue is where you put ideas and other things that stick out to you or that have potential utility that we've discussed. But this is about content synthesis and kind of making it easier and some things that you can add, right? So I want to show you Readwise. Now, I believe Readwise is paid. So again, if you don't want to use any of this, then just use the queue, right? Read from Kindle, read from books, read from Twitter, and just copy paste stuff into here, right? You don't need to overcomplicate it more than that if you don't want to. This is where you capture ideas. But if you want a more automated way of capturing ideas, you can go to readwise.io, see how much it costs, potentially pay for it. But then you can see here that there are a lot of things that you can connect to Readwise. One of them being Notion, right? So what we're using here. So you can connect to Notion. I don't know why it says it's not connected to Notion. It is connected to my Notion, but you can see here, short form is mentioned. I guess you can get a 20% discount here. Mine should be connected via API, but I don't know. You can use Air for podcasts, Apple Books. If you use any of these, you can. There's Pocket. But my main ones are Kindle, Twitter, which I kind of use, and Medium. So all of my highlights from Kindle and Medium are saved into my Notion. And so is short form, but it's not showing that it's connected. But you can run through the introduction process to Readwise, connect to Notion, and then you can export whatever is connected to Notion, right? So then what happens is it gets put in a Readwise page in Notion, and you can see here, yeah, my short form is connected, and these are all of the books that I've read from and highlighted from on Kindle. So as I talk about in a later section, I really like to listen to the audiobook, and in that case, I'll note things down in the queue, just my own summaries of stuff, and then I'll also read the Kindle book at the same time and highlight very important quotes or sections that I want to go over. So flow, for example, was a big one for me when I was creating newsletters, and I can come in and now I have quotes to either build on top of or actually include in the article itself, so it's not just a big hunk of text in my own words. It's a credible argument when I'm backing it up with quotes and other things. And these help with my YouTube videos as well. These help with everything, right? Because you're pulling from different sources to create an argument in whatever content you're using. And these are just good for idea generation. So you can see these are all of my highlights as I'm reading through the book. And usually when something comes to mind, like when I'm talking about goals, for example, I can come into here because I know that he talks about goals a lot, and then I can control F and then look up goals, right? And so I can read through the ones that talk about goals. I can see if there's a quote that fits, and at that point you're good to go. See? So that's just one example of this content synthesis system. And then if you want to take these further, when we talk about developing the ideas, and there's just a quote that really stood out to you, then you can take that and start developing the idea, which we'll talk about soon. But in short, that's just what I wanted to introduce you to, is kind of how you're capturing these ideas into only a few places, which is the queue, which I have saved as a favorite, and then Readwise. So you have all of your quotes and other things from books in here, and potentially podcasts if you use things like Air or something else. It saves your Medium articles. It can save tweets. But yeah, take a look around Readwise, see if it's a fit for you. Again, you don't need to use it. You really don't need to use it. And honestly, I don't use it that much aside from just saving quotes for later. That's really it. Like I rarely come into here unless I need a quote. Okay. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that you don't have to spend money on this. If you do not want to, you can just use the queue and pop your own ideas and summaries into there.